This is my favorite topic of today's podcast.
Woo!
Which Canadian team has been the most disappointing this season? There are some really, really good candidates here, okay?
Yeah, there are.
We have the Ottawa Senators and Vancouver Canucks, who have both been just putrid this season, okay? And coming into the season, we both thought that Vancouver and Ottawa were going to be pretty good. But my goodness, right now, looking at points percentage, Ottawa 25th in the league, the Canucks 26th in the league. We're going to give Montreal a pass because everyone thought they were going to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Then you have Edmonton and Calgary, based on points percentage, sitting 17th and 18th in the NHL. So some really good candidates here. Obviously, the Leafs and Jets are having great seasons. They are both top 5 in the NHL in points percentage. So, Lepore, I ask you first, which Canadian team has been the most disappointing this season in the NHL?
I'm going to go kind of personal on this one, Bruno, because, I mean, we can have the discussion of what's worse. You thought you were going to be competitive and you suck, or you thought you were going to be really good and you're just competitive. So I will go with the latter, and I will say that the Canadian team I am most disappointed in is the Calgary Flames, because based on last season, they had a great summer. I mean, that summer could have went south in a hurry. The management there made some great moves and things look good for them. And you look at that roster, what do they need? What do they need? I don't know. I mean, they have depth up front. I like their D. Markstrom is supposed to be good. They have a little bit of grit. They apparently have the right coach who can win in a way that should work in the playoffs. So to me, I'm going to pick Calgary, and that's because I had really high expectations for them. And they can always turn it around. They can go on a heater. They can do damage in the playoffs. But as it sits right now, I'll pick them. And I think, too, the more I think about it, like, they're the one I'm the most shocked about. Like, if someone said to me that, you mentioned Vancouver and Ottawa. Yeah, I had higher expectations for the two of those teams, of course. But had someone said to me they'd be in the spot they're in now, I wouldn't be that surprised. I'd be like, yeah, I could have seen it going that way as well. And for Calgary, I was like, no, this team's going to be top of the league. Like I really did think that. So I'm going to pick the Flames, man. I hate to say it. And Flames fans, comment down below what you think's wrong, or what you think can be fixed, or what you think needs to be done. But the Flames are my team because I had them at the top of the list teams who can win the Stanley Cup. And so far this season, they're not even close to that category.
Before I tell you which team I think has been the most disappointing from Canada, let's stick on the Flames for a second, because I'm very surprised as well. Because when you look at the advanced stats, they rate out very well, Lepore.
Okay.
Like at 5-on-5, their Corsi numbers, they're third in the league in Corsi for percentage. So that's just like pure shot attempt share. Then when you look at expected goals for percentage, Calgary, top 10 in the league. They have outscored their opponents by 5 goals at 5-on-5. Like, they've been a solid team, but their record is just not a reflection of that right now. Like, Huberdeau is struggling offensively. They need their best players to be a little bit better. Markstrom is not having a good season. They have some issues, and it is surprising because, like you said, man, I thought that they were going to also be like one of the top teams in the league. I didn't necessarily think they were a Stanley Cup contender, but I think they were easily going to make the playoffs. And right now, they are playing at an 89-point pace. That's an 89-point pace.
Yeah, not good enough. Yeah.
This team was dominant last season, man. Go look at the standings from last season. And I know it's a different team. No Kachuk, no Gaudreau. But didn't this team have like 110 points last season as I pull up the standings right now?
And you added Huberdeau and Kadri. So, I mean,
it's shocking to see. So saying all that, Lepore, and as the standings finally load here, yeah, Calgary finished with 111 points last season and a plus 85 goal differential.
There you go.
So again, a little bit of a different team this year, but to see them playing at this sort of pace is kind of shocking. But Lepore,
where does their overall goaltending rank, Bruno?
Just
like, I know that's been a talking point, like save percentage, like team percentage.
So first I'll tell you 5-on-5 save percentage. Calgary Oh man, they're 26th in the league
There it is.
at 5
Yeah,
on
there it
5
is.
save percentage right
Yeah.
now.
I knew it was obviously a talking point with Markstrom, but I know it was that bad. Yeah, that's the difference, right?
And
You
then if
mentioned
I
the Corsi
sort
thing.
by all situations, looking at their save percentage, yeah, it's a little bit better. It's like I don't have the exact. It looks like it's around 23rd in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit better in all situations, but yeah, they are not getting good goaltending.
Yeah.
But saying all that, Lepore, there's another team that is also playing at an 89-point pace this season. And that team is the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, I was laughing this time in anticipation, Bruno.
Who some might call Anthony Bruno's second favorite hockey team. This team.
Everybody, sorry, I'm going to go get a snack. I'll be back in about 20 minutes when Bruno goes on his rant about the Edmonton Oilers.
So obviously, Vancouver and Ottawa are worse than Edmonton right now, just in terms of what their record is. But as you all might know, I said that Ottawa was the most overrated team in the NHL heading into the season, and they have proven me 100% correct because they stink right now. So I wasn't expecting much from the Ottawa Senators, but my goodness, this Oilers team to also be playing at an 89-point pace. And Lepore, we were talking about this a little bit before we started the podcast. Edmonton at 5 on 5. It's shocking, man. Not only have they been outscored as a team at 5 on 5, but you look at their best players. Like this is almost stunning to look at. Connor McDavid, Darnell Nurse, Zach Hyman, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Those guys, when they are on the ice individually, the team has been outscored at 5 on 5 with each of those guys on the ice this season. Like, how is that even possible? Connor McDavid, when he's been on the ice at 5 on 5, the Oilers have been outscored 26-25 this season.
Insane. Yeah.
With Draisaitl on the ice at 5 on 5, the Oilers have been outscored 32-28. With Hyman on the ice, they've been outscored by a goal. Same with Darnell Nurse. Like, what the hell is going on in Edmonton? I understand Jack Campbell has been a disaster, and defensively, they are not very good. But for a team that made it to the conference finals last season, which I thought was a fraudulent team that ended up getting swept by the Colorado Avalanche, to see them playing at an 89-point pace this season is stunning. And I've beaten a dead horse with this team. When you have Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid on your team, two of the best players in the world, like this just can't be happening, man. And I don't put it on McDavid and Draisaitl. I put this on Ken Holland. Build a better team around these guys. It's as simple as that. You signed Jack Campbell to a $5 million contract over 5 years, and now he's a $5 million backup. You still have holes defensively. You still have holes in your forward group, specifically in the bottom six where the scoring is just non-existent. If this team's power play wasn't as elite as it is, this team would be a mess, man. So for me, it's the Edmonton Oilers. They've easily been the most disappointing team of all the Canadian teams this season.
I'll ask you, so two of the teams we had on the list, Ottawa and Edmonton. Ottawa lost their number one center in Josh Norris. Edmonton lost Evander Kane. Now, teams go through injuries. I mean, people say, oh, it doesn't matter. You pull through. Sometimes it affects you more than it affects other teams. Which injury do you think is the most significant to their team? Like, which injury is costing the team more points?
Honestly, man, I think it's pretty equal because Josh Norris is Ottawa's number one center, and that's obviously incredibly important. But when you look at Evander Kane, man, I think he really unlocked that team offensively last season and gave them another element because we know what McDavid and Draisaitl are going to do, and Hyman and Nugent-Hopkins are having good seasons. But man, Evander Kane, a guy that can pot 30 to 40 goals, who plays physical, like who's good in all situations, that's a big loss for Edmonton, man. Right? Honestly, if I had to pick, I'd still, you know what? I'll say that the Evander Kane loss is a little bit more significant than the Norris loss, and you could disagree with me if you want.
Yeah, I think what's happened, and I'm sure a lot of Sens fans have been screaming that this year, is that not that like, oh my God, we've been devastated by injuries, but it always seems like, fuck, there's something. And like, I think even the biggest Sens fans in the world would agree that they needed a lot to go right this year for the season to be successful. And like Zub's been hurt twice. Like Shabbat got hurt. I heard even there's rumor going around that he was really sick to start the season. Now then Norris is gone essentially for months and months. Stützle, there was that injury. I think he's week to week with the shoulder. Like all these little things have kind of piled up for them. So I think a lot of Sens fans are pointing to that. But the Evander Kane one, like I think I would agree, man. Like, I think Evander Kane will pop that team. So like on one end, like we're shitting on the Oilers for saying like, you know, they've been really disappointing, but at the same time, I mean, this injury has cost them. But then you can counter that argument saying, well, if your depth was better, it wouldn't be affecting you as much. But I'm not going to say I'm predicting that the Oilers will go on an absolute tear when he returns, because it's how much longer? They said like,
oh no, he's out for. I think the initial prognosis was like 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, but that would be what now, going like February or something.
Yeah, so he should be back for the playoffs if they get into the playoffs.
Yeah, so like I'm not gonna say like I expect him to go full like power mode like when he comes back, but it wouldn't shock me because it kind of happened last year. And again, you're adding an elite player, you're adding a scorer, and like you said, you're adding a different element.
Yeah, it's like I understand the injuries that have happened to Ottawa, and that's been tough to deal with. But Edmonton, a team that lacks depth and has one of their best players out. And again, though, it's no excuse for either team, because I'll point to the Leafs again. Like their defense core has been ravaged by injuries. Like now Rasmus Sandin is out. Riley's out. Brody's been out. Muzzin might never play again. Yeah. Like now Sandin is injured. Liljegren missed the first part of the season. And the Leafs are playing at a 114-point pace right now.
They're riding their 4-string goalie.
Yeah. Like Eric Shalgren was in net with injuries to Samsonov and Murray. So when you look at what a team like the Leafs is doing, and even Boston, Charlie McAvoy and Brad Marchand missed the start of the season. And they're crazy, on pace to have the greatest regular season in NHL history. So I don't want to hear it with these injuries. Sure, you know, it obviously affects the ceiling of your team, and it's tough to deal with, but good teams deal with injuries, and that's just the bottom line.
Okay, well, we'll end with this then. So I pointed to Calgary, you pointed to Edmonton. One makes the playoffs, both make the playoffs, or both miss the playoffs. Anthony Bruno prediction time.
Oh my God, Lepore.
I love it.
That's tough, man, because right now both are playing with fire. Like you look at the wild card standings right now, like let's just look at the Pacific Division. Vegas is in first, followed by LA, Seattle's in third, and then you have Edmonton and Calgary fourth and fifth in the Pacific Division. In the worst division in the NHL, those teams are sitting fourth and fifth. So right now they're both fighting for the final wild card spot. Honestly, man, I think one of them is going to miss.
One of them's going to miss.
I think one of them is going to miss. And if I had to pick the team that's going to miss, I'll say it's
You're thinking
Calgary.
About it. Yeah, okay.
I would say Calgary's going to miss just because I have that much faith in McDavid and Draisaitl. Like if they have to go out there and win game 7-4, they can probably do it. So I think they have a little bit more firepower. I think Calgary's like a more complete team, but Edmonton has the better high-end talent. So I'll say that one of them gets in, and I'm going to say it will be Edmonton, but my goodness, man, they are both playing with fire right now.
Yeah. First things first, imagine someone told us in the summer that the Pacific was going to go Vegas, LA, Seattle. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Where are you going? How many shots of tequila have you had? But I'm going to say both make it. I'm going to go on a limb and say they both catch Seattle and LA as the timing of the season moves on. I got confidence in Calgary as a group. I got confidence in Sutter as a coach. He's been around, and I agree with you with McDavid and Draisaitl, and hopefully an addition of Kane in the next little while. So I think those three will go off and they'll play extra minutes, whatever they got to do to get in. So I'll say both. So we'll check in on this report in a few months and see where we're at.
Pessimistic Bruno and optimistic Lepore.
All right, you could have said they both missed.
I would like to see both of those teams get in because
I want to see them play each other. I want to see a 2-3 again. Let's see the 2-3, have them play each other again.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But man, as it stands right now, like we're 30 plus games in. Colorado has three. Like Colorado is sitting in the first wild card spot in the Pacific, but they have 3 games in hand on Calgary and Edmonton. And I think we all believe that Colorado is going to be fine. That's another team that's been dealing with a ton of injuries.
Yeah, so what was it? 40
right now, man, it honestly does look like that one of these teams from Alberta is going to miss out.
Give me a fun watch.
But we'll see.